the best way to shrink a large QuickBooks Desktop file? Oh my gosh. So first of all, I'll tell you a couple of ways, because of course, the standard accountant's answer, it depends. I'll tell you what it depends on. So sometimes the best way to shrink it is to do a file condense. Not every file is able to do a file condense. If there are a lot of bugs in the file, for example, it won't even condense. But if you can do it, that's a great way to do it. And what that means is, in essence, there's a cutoff date that you type in, and QuickBooks deletes all the transactions that happened before that cutoff date and replaces them with a single journal entry that's your whole file balance. So you can still have your financial statements from that cutoff date, although you won't get your financial statements from prior to that cutoff date, but you still have a copy of the old file. And then all of the details that you have in your file from that point on are still there. Not every file is eligible for that, but that's one thing you can do. If your file is so buggy that you can't do a file condense, even with some serious troubleshooting, you can use technologies like Transaction Pro Exporter, Transaction Pro Importer, or you can use a technology like Q2Q and export certain transactions out of the old file, create a brand spanking new file, upload the lists, the chart of accounts, the customers, the vendors, the items, if you have items, etc., and then import the transactions. It's certainly more time intensive than doing a file condense, but if the file can't be condensed, there's a decent plan B. A couple of things to think about. If you're using QuickBooks Pro or Premier, and maybe you've just maxed out the QuickBooks database, it may make sense to you not to shrink the file, but to upgrade to QuickBooks Enterprise, which has a much larger back-end database that can hold longer lists, significantly longer lists, up from 14,500 list members to 100,000 list members. Much bigger, yes, and also a lot more transactions it can hold. There's a cool new feature in QuickBooks 2019 and Enterprise 19.0 that I want to tell you about. It's another way that you can dramatically reduce the file size, but without losing any of your detailed transactions. And that is, you can click on some things to delete the audit trail. Back up the file first, of course, so you could always have the audit trail to reference. But if your audit trail is bloated, for example, if a lot of transactions get changed multiple times, if account numbers get changed, account names get changed, vendor names get changed, all of this bloats the audit trail, and that adds to the file size significantly. So there's this great new feature where you can delete the audit trail and start over. Very, very cool feature. Worth taking advantage of as long as you keep a copy of the file, the old file, for reference with the complete audit trail. So those are my thoughts for you.